Welcome to an Empires and Puzzles book interview video. This video was made at the request of Artika Tutti Frutti, Artika TF, on the Small Giant forum for the game. She hosts a YouTube channel for Empires and Puzzles for the Russian community, and she wanted to do an interview with myself. So to facilitate this interview, she sent me a list of questions, and I had my wife ask me those questions, and I provided those answers. I do want to point out that at the time we did this, I was just getting over a really bad eye infection, so you may see some awkward blinking and eye issues that I had going on. All is well now, but it was a little uncomfortable at the time we made this video.
When and how did you start playing Empires and Puzzles?
Well, my wife actually introduced me to playing phone games, and then it was 2 years ago around the holiday season. We were at her family's house, and I was kind of just relaxing and going through my phone looking for a new game to play. So I downloaded it, I think it was the day after Christmas in 2018, but I didn't really get engaged with the game and start playing until January of 19.
To date, you have the highest level in the game. This is a great achievement that causes other players a lot of mixed feelings, disbelief, surprise, and envy. Why did you choose this way of development in the game to level up?
Yeah, I do, as far as I know, I have the highest player level in the game. Later on today, I'll actually be hitting player level 129. It originally started out just because I was interested in increasing the value of the world energy flask. That is the only thing in the game that we can control the value of. As we level up, we get more flags, so it makes that flask more valuable. So currently I'm getting 82 flags for that flask, and that was my original driver in leveling up quickly. Since COVID happened and we went on lockdown, I've started farming even more intently since I'm working from home and I have more time to farm. Now my interest is mostly in accruing an enormous amount of food and iron every day so that I can keep up with weapons productions for the challenge events and ninja towers and things like that. So now I just happen to be leveling quickly. It's not necessarily my goal anymore.
Did you specifically study the game's locations to find the levels and stages where you can get the maximum level increase?
Yeah, actually I did. Originally I was interested in the most efficient ways to get XP, either from using a loot ticket or from just using regular world energy flags. So I've looked for specific levels. The loot tickets were easy. So that specific level was just where's the maximum amount of XP you get for just doing an instant win, which is in Season 2, Atlantis, Province 27, Level 10, although I usually use Level 9 during Atlantis Rises, just because you have the more chances of getting the dragon coins. So that's where I use the loot tickets. The world energy flags, I bounce around and I use a couple different levels depending on the time of the month and what events are going on. Now, I'm mostly interested in XP per time, how fast I can level up. So I am earning XP fastest on Season 1, Province 17, Stage 1, or on Season 3, Province 3, Stage 1 Hard.
How often do you level up?
Currently at the rate that I'm farming, I'm leveling up about once every 7 days, maybe 6 days when Atlantis is there and I can use a ton of loot tickets, but it's basically about once a week.
Of course, many people are interested in the question about pay to play, and I can't help but ask it. Do you pay to speed up your leveling, or does your high level give you an advantage and more opportunities to increase your level?
Well, as I mentioned, being at the level I am now, I'm getting 82 flags, so each world energy flask is a huge value, so I am able to level up more than players that have a lot less flags, so there is that advantage. But I do regularly use gems in the shop to buy more flasks to keep the auto farming going every day. So I am a pay-to-play player. I consider myself to be a competitive person, so I'm in this for the long haul and interested in being as competitive as I can in the monthly challenge events and the ninja towers, things like that. So I'm going to need to keep producing weapons on the level that I am. So I'm kind of dedicated to that investment at this point.
How much do you think the value of your level corresponds to the level of your strength and development as a player, the presence of heroes and achievements in the game?
That's a great question. I actually think the most important effect that my player level has on my success is the amount of ham and iron represented by that level that I would have accrued through all that gameplay. So, for example, I'm working on my 4th set of rainbow troops, mana troops, on level 23. I already have 3 sets complete, and I've noticed that troop development has a huge impact on gameplay and ability to be competitive. So if you can think about how much food and iron I've accrued in the last 129 levels, it's given me an enormous advantage in developing those troops and all of the weapons, as I've already mentioned, that go along with them.
Have you ever met with a negative reaction from other players due to your high level in the game?
Unfortunately, sometimes people make sideways comments about the player level and that it's just bought and paid for. I don't think people realize the dedication it takes to get to that level, even if you are just auto-farming a lot. You know, my wife is very supportive of my gameplay, and she also plays, so there's a lot of help that goes back and forth between the two of us to keep things running on the level that we're having it run. But other than people who seem to be generally envious about being able to pay to play, I don't think most people care about what level I'm at, or they're just kind of think it's novel or interesting that it's such a high level. But generally, no.
Do you feel that too much is expected of you because your level is so high?
If the question's about what I expect of myself, maybe. As far as other people, I don't really think too much about what other people's expectations are of my gameplay based on where I'm at with a player level. For me personally, I have high expectations. I keep accurate records and stats of everything that I'm doing in the game, and I'm interested in achieving as much as I can and scoring as well as I can and placing as high as I can. So pressure from myself and expectations definitely there. Other people could really care less what other people think about the player level.
You have a competitor in the fight for the title of the player with the highest level, a player from Korea. Do you have an official competition with this Korean, or did it just happen by accident?
It's definitely not a planned competition. I don't know that player at all, have all the respect in the world for them. They're also in a top alliance, and it's kind of exciting to see where they're at with their leveling. When I was around level 112, 113, somebody brought my attention to the fact that there were only 3 of us around 113, and I just continued leveling on the level that I was leveling. And I did start paying attention to the Korean player just out of curiosity to see where they were at. And they were leveling at the same rate that I was, but about 2 or so days ahead of me. I'm not sure exactly where, maybe around player level 122. They fell off that pace, and now I'm about 2 levels ahead of them. I'm still doing what I'm doing. So as long as I keep the pace up, I imagine that I'll stay ahead at this point. But again, I'm really focused on leveling just for the amount of food and iron that I'm getting every day and being able to produce everything I need to be competitive on the level that I want to be in the game. So it's interesting to me. I follow it, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it if I don't stay as the highest level.
Let's talk about your heroes. Who was your first legendary hero? Do you remember how and when you got it? Your emotions. Do you still play this hero?
I don't remember where or when I got my first legendary 5-star hero, but I know for a fact it was Quintus. And I was really excited when I got him. I leveled him up right away to level 370. I didn't have the mats at that time to take him to 480. And I became kind of disheartened by the hero as soon as I started playing with him because he just died so quickly, regardless of where his current leveling was. So I wasn't that excited about the hero. So I never finished him. To this day, he's still sitting there at 370, even though I pulled his costume, which is also sitting at 370. But the first legendary hero that I maxed and fully leveled was Mitsuku from Season 2 Atlantis. Not sure why she ended up being the first that I fully leveled, but I use her every single day. I love using her against Finley and Vila and all of the other ice heroes that hit multiple targets because of that reflect that she gets. Is just awesome to watch the ice heroes just kind of take care of themselves in a battle.
Which of the heroes in your deck is your favorite right now? and why?
No. Favorite this week would have to be Krampus. I'm super excited to have pulled him, leveled him right away, and he's made a very big difference in my defense team and some of the other things that I've been doing with the game. Overall, I tend to find Tyr and Jabberwock two of the more fun heroes to play with. Albie and Mother North. I like the resurrection heroes. I like to go into a battle, get as far as I can. If I'm losing, I love to be able to pull it back from almost ultimate defeat and be able to still pull off that victory. I think that's one of the reasons why I really like Tyr. He can just single-handedly change a battle, and it's kind of awesome to watch what he does.
Do you upgrade duplicates of your heroes? Which heroes do you have doubles of? And for what purpose?
Yes, I do have heroes that I keep duplicates of, some triplets and some even quadruplicates. I think if a hero is really good and has a purpose, there might be multiple ways that you want to use them or have multiple copies on a single team. This mostly comes into play for me with the challenge events where I'm trying to be competitive. So for example, on the rare level, I have 3 Carols, the ice hero, maxed, just because they hit 3 targets, and that's what I'm looking at doing in that challenge event. So I'll use Nordry for defense, elemental defense down, and like a Gunnar costume for regular defense down, and then 3 Carols to just hit the enemy 3 times back to back. 4-star heroes, Scarlet for the same thing. She hits 3 targets hard, and that's good for the 4-star challenge events. On the legendary, I do have maxed copies of Marjana and Poseidon, and I kind of regret that I did that. I originally did it because I didn't have that many heroes. I had Mats, and it just felt like the thing to do. But I don't use either the second Marjana or Poseidon anymore. Now, with the new costume coming out for Marjana, I will probably use that more often since there'll be that important elemental defense down. The only other legendary that I'm looking at duplicating right now is Alfreak, just because she is a freak and she just hits so incredibly hard, and she's powerful in the Ninja Tower and the challenge events, and having 2 of her is going to be super beneficial for those events. The other heroes that I would consider getting duplicates of are Alberic. Everybody calls him Albie, just for his ability to resurrect the team. I use him in every war, so I would love to have multiple copies to use him in multiple teams during war.
How do you approach the formation of your roster?
From very early on, I've been interested in building an army, not a team. So it's been important to me to level as many heroes I can in as many diverse categories as I can, so that I can respond to any of the different events and activities they throw at us. So I have kept at least 1 copy of every 3 and 4-star and their costume fully leveled. The heroes that are really great, I have multiple copies of fully leveled. With the legendary, because they're so expensive in resources to fully max, I'm more careful about who I'm leveling and how. So my original build on the legendaries was to make sure I had solid Titan teams of each element, since I fight full mono, and to make sure I had dedicated war teams of each element. Now that I have those, I am concentrating completely on developing heroes that attack 3 for the Ninja Tower and the challenge events. So my focus the last 2 months have been really on those types of heroes.
Which heroes would you recommend for beginners without hesitation?
For people just starting out in the game, I recommend staying away from the 5-star heroes. Just ignore the legendaries. They're going to be so tempting, you think you want to have them, but until you have all the farms up to capacity and all the training camps up to capacity, it takes way too many resources to level a 5-star. So for beginners, I recommend concentrating on getting an army of 3 and 4s. You'll use them forever. They level much faster. And I would look for any of those classic heroes that you're seeing regularly used in the events. For the legendaries, if you happen to get some of those, I would probably start off concentrating on the Season 1 snipers. I think they're still important. They're relevant heroes. So that's where my focus would be for a beginner.
What are your must-have heroes from the first season of the game?
Sure, like I was just saying, Season 1 to me is still very relevant. The 5 snipers, I think, will always be important heroes in the game. So Liana, June, Marjana, Sartana, and Magni. Superheroes, I use them every day, all the time. Use them in war, use them for different events. I think they're critical. Now, as I just mentioned, I'm concentrating on the hit 3 events, so I'm looking for any heroes that hit 3 really hard, and there's some great ones in Season 1. Thorn from the Ice team. From Fire, Aslar, and Kagan. Kagan gets talked down a lot. People don't like him because he's slow mana and doesn't seem that effective. But he hits really hard for somebody who's hitting 3 enemies, so I use him a lot. I'm excited to look for the new Marjana costume and the new Leonidas costume because they're going to be hitting 3 and their elemental defense down, so they're going to be really important. So Season 1 heroes, I'm all about. Elkanin, he's another one that hits 3. The Season 1 heroes that I kind of avoid are the ones that hit everybody. The heroes like Korgul and Justice, they just are not very effective for me.
What are your feelings about the Gravemaker, Taloria, Vila situation?
Sure, the last year we dealt with, this kind of ridiculous experience with this trio that became what I call the copy-paste defense. Everybody was using them. They're heroes of the month, which I've often said I think that the summons rate for hero of the month is too high. Everybody who tries to go for them can get them if you put some effort into it. And Taloria was broken, and Taloria and Vila was really broken, putting them together. And it made the game pretty boring and monotonous for a while. I found myself really looking forward to the 3 and 4 star events just to get away from seeing the same defense, different player experience. I'm very proud of the fact that my alliance is the only top 100 alliance that did not switch to nature tanks after Taloria came out, and it was pretty dull to spend many months of 2020 just fighting Taloria, Vila, Gravemaker over and over again.
How do you feel about the actions that the developers took to fix this situation?
The nerfs were important and necessary. I respect the fact that developers need to nerf and buff heroes from time to time. I think a lot of people speak so negatively about the nerf, and I would take that any day over power inflation. If the answer to the problem is to developing stronger and stronger heroes to defeat the ones that were overpowered to begin with, you end up with power inflation where heroes just become worthless. So for those that were upset that Taloria or Vila got knocked back with a nerf, I would be far more upset if they eventually got outclassed by power inflation and they became completely worthless. So I respect that the developers seem committed to keeping equity in the game and keeping all heroes relevant. 140 plus 5 stars, I'd like to be able to use any of them. I would hate to see any of them get pushed to the wayside because of power inflation.
In your opinion, are Taloria and Vila still strong heroes after the nerf?
Yeah, Taloria is clearly still a very strong hero. She's a tank to be reckoned with. She's still one of the, if not the strongest tanks in the game. So I think they got Taloria just right. Vila, they may have nerfed a little bit too far. She's very weak now, in my opinion. The only advantage to that weakness is I can't use Mitsuko as effectively in eliminating her in a battle because her reflect, since her attack is weak, her reflect from Mitsuko is not as strong, so she's actually able to survive that counter attack now. So on offense, I maxed Vila. I never used her on defense. I don't use her on offense. She's one of those heroes I kind of wish I had the mats returned to me. I don't really see a need for Vila anymore.
Do you think any of the new and announced characters will be able to compete with Gravemaker, Taloria, and Vila in the near future?
Yeah, they came out with some great heroes that I think are good counters. Vonda from the Morlovia Halloween event is great. I think Gefyon from Season 3, who was recently released, is fantastic. Her ability to steal minions, she can't take them from Taloria necessarily, but she puts minions on the whole team, so she can steal those, and she hits really hard, which is great. The Ninja event came out with Garnet, who has the ailment protection, so I use her all the time. I think that she's a fantastic hero, and the fact that she levels her mana gets up to speed so quickly is allowed to immediately put that defense in place. So when Vila tries to put the water damage on you, that just gets brushed off to the side. So I think they've done a good job of providing heroes that can counter them.
As an experienced player, are you inclined to share your experience and secrets of success? Or are there just some chips that are not ready to share with anyone?
I'm always a big share of information. I have the Empires and Puzzles books that I put out. I have the Empires and Puzzles books YouTube channel. I share what I know. I'm interested in seeing other people succeed. I'm not one who thinks, well, I'm being competitive, so I got to keep my secrets to try to stay away from other folks. Within a day or two of the Ninja Tower completion, I finished 8th in that event. I immediately put out a walkthrough video and I showed everybody the best that I did on each of those levels. So I think it's more exciting to have more intense competition. I know I've learned from a lot of great players, so I hope people can play. I hope people can learn to play from what I share. So yeah, no secrets from my end.
What is the most valuable source of information about the game for you?
I get most of my information from the various Facebook groups and the Small Giant forum. There's a lot of great players out there who are willing to share information. YouTube is another great place. There's some really fantastic players that are sharing some information out there. For me personally, I think one of the greatest resources of information I have is my own research and documentation that I do of the game. I think I look at things a little different than some of the other top players, and I appreciate my own research and how I'm able to utilize that. I use my catalogs and information that I've accrued in the game every single day.
Have you ever had the experience of creating your own alliance? Or have you ever had the desire to create your own alliance? If you created it, would you set a goal for the alliance to reach to the top?
I love my current alliance. I'm not the leader of the alliance. They're a fantastic group. Strippers for Tacos, they're fantastic. I think today we're 15th now in the ranking. We won our award today, so we bounced up in the rankings. We're usually in the top 100, and that's fine for me. So I don't have a need to start my own or create a group to try to get there. I'm already part of a fantastic group. What I have done a year or so ago, before I got into Strippers for Tacos, my wife and I created an alliance together just for us to do something together, and it was fun for a while. We got a lot of enjoyment out of it, but it was very limited in the amount of Titans and the size of the Titans that we could take down with the two of us. Now, the only other time that I've created an alliance, I do personal challenges, and my alliance is great for letting me leave and go try to do different things. So a couple months ago, I left my alliance just to create my own because I wanted to have the specific challenge of doing a one-on-one war with another person. I was hoping to get a perfect score. I did not. I missed one flag from having a perfect score. But that was a unique way to look at war, because we know we're limited to using our heroes only one time, but we can choose different enemies. So when you're in an alliance of one, you're facing the exact same team, and you got to come up with 6 different teams, if you're one-shotting, to be able to attack that one setup. And I found that to be a really unique challenge, and I do want to try that again at some point.
Do you have any special memories of a big victory or tragic defeat in the game? Have there been any crazy moments?
Yeah, I've had a couple of really interesting moments in the game. I think 2 of the biggest for me was scoring 8th in the Ninja Tower for a first released event, not having the opportunity to see that in advance. I think it was a unique challenge for me to study as much as I could about how to attack that event and to think of a strategy to go into a battle I've never seen before. So to place in the top 10 for the first time out, that was a huge victory for me. The other event that was really important to me was last month's Rare Challenge event. I was first place almost the entire weekend. It was the first time that I was ever at the top of a challenge event. And Keon Lee, who is another top player, actually he's probably well above me as far as the challenge events go. I've learned a ton from him. He took me out on the last day, so I battled with him all that day, and I kept increasing scores. He kept increasing scores, and at the end of the day, it was his. I took second. I've never been so thrilled to be second place at something in my life. It was fantastic to lose to him, but that was probably one of the more awesome battles I've had in the game. The other big memories for me are hitting records or doing things that other people have not achieved. So the first time that I broke 400,000 on a single Titan hit, that was a huge moment for me. So those kind of things where you're setting records or doing something that somebody hasn't done before, those are the things that really stick out in my mind.
How would you personally rate the Ninja Tower? What did you like or dislike?
I absolutely love the Ninja Tower. I do recognize that it's probably an event geared more towards the advanced players, which I think the game drastically needed something specifically for the advanced players. I found the setup unique, from the blessings to the curses and the one shot that you get to do an event. I think they were all fantastic. I think it was a huge improvement over the monthly challenge events, where those who are willing to spend the money can keep buying boards over and over and over until they find that perfect board and try to play it. don't get me wrong, I like the chemistry of those events and it's a different kind of experience. But I like that the Ninja Tower really put pressure on you to perform at the highest level, and you got one, if you're lucky, maybe 2 shots at doing a level. So I thought the tower was great. I've been building weapons for the last month to get ready for the next one. So I'm ready to hit that Ninja Tower again.
What's keeping you in the game right now? What is the interest?
I don't know that I've ever played anything or been involved in anything so complex before. And I just love that the game has so many intricacies. There's so many different events. There's so many games within a game. You know, the fact that there is so much activity and a new event happening every few days, new heroes are coming out. I just think it's kind of one of the more fascinating things that I've been involved with. So that keeps my interest going. This last year in particular, working from home and just the impact that COVID has had in the world, it's been a huge escape for me, and I've really appreciated the time playing the game.
How do your family, friends, and acquaintances feel about your passion for the game?
Well, I moved out of country about 5 years ago, so I'm pretty distant from family and my close friends. My wife thankfully plays. She's an avid player of the game. She actually is the one who got me into playing phone games. I'm the one who got her into this game. So it's something that we can share. You know, we get done a long day at work, we can kind of just come home and relax on the couch, do a couple raids or war hits or Titan, whatever we happen to be on at that point. So I think there's a lot of love and support between the two of us since we're both gamers with this.
Who do you work for? What do you do? And what are your hobbies in life besides playing the game?
Professionally, I'm a university administrator. That's what actually took me away from home, a new job at a new school that's in a foreign land, and it's been an exciting experience. Been here 5 years now. Other hobbies, my wife and I are avid travelers. We love exploring the world when COVID allows us to do so. So we do a lot of traveling. Photography's always been a passion of mine.
So, does the game interfere with life, or does life interfere with the game?
I don't know that I would say either. I think we have struck a nice balance with being able to do our auto farming and live our day and still embrace life. You know, we manage to do our war hits and Titan hits and things even when we're traveling. So we definitely have an awareness of how it's impacting our lives and, you know, the time we spend on the game, but I don't think it's been a negative experience thus far. And if it becomes one, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
How do you feel when you suddenly find yourself without access to the network and can't log into the game?
Losing internet is stressful when war is going on. You know, it's different when you're playing a game for yourself and when there's 29 other people relying on you to do your hits. So my wife and I, you know, we live on a very small island, so electricity and or internet can be unstable at times. So we've had to do some interesting things at times just to find a Wi-Fi signal just for a few minutes so we can get our war hits in. But neither of us have missed our flags. You know, we've been able to stay on top of it. But it's life. You're going to lose electric and internet. You got to deal with it.
Have you ever felt like quitting? If there were times, what circumstances give rise to these thoughts?
No, I haven't thought about quitting. I mean, the game is a huge source of entertainment and pleasure for us, so I don't see a reason to quit or think about quitting at this point. You know, I'm doing really well with it, and I'm inspired by the success that I've had in the game. With other things I've taken on in my life, I've ended up quitting when I've achieved all my goals, and one of the things exciting about this game is there seems to be limitless goals that I can set or things that I can try and new events coming out. So it's keeping my interest at least for the foreseeable future.
The game has changed a lot recently. Moreover, a large number of clone games have appeared. If you were new to Empires and Puzzles today, do you think you would stay in the game and get as excited about it as you did back then?
You know, that's a hard question to answer. One, I haven't played any of the other games that are similar to it. I've not even looked at them just because I'm so vested in this one and it works for me, so I don't have a need to look for something else. As far as the question of if I started over, would I be as excited? You know, it's hard to answer that because I'm not even sure how I got started and how I got excited in the first place. So I guess I would just have to say, based on my personality and how much I found the game intriguing, I don't see a reason why if I started over and it was a new experience that I wouldn't be as excited or enthusiastic about jumping into it.
What is it about the game that annoys you the most? And what do you like the most about the game right now?
So for what I like about the game, that's easy. As I mentioned, it's the diversity of the game. There's so many different events and activities going on. I enjoy that there's always new things happening and new events to get involved in and new activities. So that I really love and appreciate about the game. The thing that really annoys me about the game, honestly, is just the players that complain about the game. It's unique for me to be involved in something that so many people are so passionate about playing or being involved in and complain about it on the rate that it is. And it just gets a little tiring hearing other players complain about something that I enjoy so much.
If you had the opportunity to meet face to face with the developers, what would you tell them?
If I could meet the developers, I would just say thank you to them. I really appreciate the game and the time and energy and creativity and how much excitement and enthusiasm you can tell that they have for creating such a game. So I appreciate that. As far as critiques or suggestions, I would love it if they had a way that we could replay our wars or go back and see how our alliance is playing other people. That's a feature that I would really like to see in the game. But otherwise, great job. Appreciate the game.